and welcome to Biker Stories with Bikenbiker. Today we're talking to Prashanth and Raghu. These are two biker boys from the Harley community. They've had thousands of kilometers under their belt. We'll be talking to them more about their rides and their bikes and so on. We also have Rakesh and Areep from the Bikenbiker team. So welcome to the show, Raghu and Prashanth. It's great to have you here. Um, what's been lockdown like? What have you been busy with?
Work, eating, not doing anything. Work, eating, not doing anything. That's been it's a recurring loop if you're from a software background. It's a recurring loop without an exit.
Infinitely. Nothing different for me either. Just work, sleep, eat. Work, sleep, eat.
Repeat.
That's the only constant thing in the changing world.
Right. So,
What I probably did was a few weeks ago, I opened up the carburetor of my old motorcycle just to figure out it's screwed up beyond redemption.
Oh, the bullet.
I couldn't repair it, so I called a guy who eventually got it repaired.
But surprisingly, both of you have not put on weight at all, unlike us. But you guys could look quite healthy, and I guess eating has not been so much like others.
Well, you're not seeing the
rest of it.
So I think what he's trying to say is that you guys haven't put on weight on your faces.
Yeah.
The weight is well settled. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, so Raghu, what are the bikes you currently have in your garage?
I've got 3 bikes. There's a 2014 Street Bob and a 2017 Himalayan, a 2018 Himalayan, and I don't know which year. There's a Royal Enfield cast iron. My brother tells me it's from the 70s, which got re-registered in the 80s. So that's the third one I have. Yeah, 3 bikes.
Okay, and Prashanth?
I have 2 bikes. One Thunderbird, which I bought, I think 2004. 50th edition, 2006, 50th edition. And then I have a Breakout from the Harley Davidson, which I bought about 5 years back, which is 2004.
Both of us, where did it all start for you? Your motorcycle journey, how it has been so far? When was the first time that you started riding, or you thought that, okay, this is what you're going to choose as your hobby?
So my motorcycling life has been split into 2 chapters. First chapter was started in 98. I had a Kawasaki RTZ 100cc. I bought it from my friend and I rode from Chennai to Bangalore when I got a job in Bangalore. I used it for a while and somebody told me something called as Royal Enfield, you should have a look at it. So I saw people around, they were riding this big bike. So I decided to buy a Royal Enfield Machismo. I think it was 1999. I went to CMH Road. The current owner of this one, Technic Motors, right?
Yes.
It was a small little shop. I think 20 by 20 shop, I guess. Now Technic Motor is the leading
dealer. Yeah.
I think leading RE showroom in South India today. Those days they were selling like 1 bike or 2 bikes a month. I went to them and I had some money and I told them, take the money and give me a bike tomorrow. So they gave me they said the only bike they can sell is a Machismo. So they sold the Machismo and I used that bike for almost 17 years. 10 out of those 17 years are very active. I did almost 1 lakh kilometers on that. 90-ish thousand when my friend decided to forcefully buy it from me.
Forcefully buy.
So that chapter ended in 2006 or 7. Kind of took a sabbatical. I got back to motorcycling in 2014. I wanted to buy a bike, so I think Harley was making a lot of unnecessary noise. I fell prey to that noise and a Harley Davidson Street 750 and started riding. So that's the second chapter of my ride. I did about 17,000 odd kilometers on a street side 50, and then I sold it. After a bad mishap that I witnessed in Goa. I think Rakesh was also there. I don't remember. Arjun, you were in there, I guess. No, you were in there that year. Prashanth was leading the group, so he left us. So he and Rakesh and few guys saw a very bad mishap. Then I decided, okay, 750cc fast bike without ABS won't make any sense.
Yeah.
So I decided to pick up Street Bob. Did a lot of miles on that, most of it with Prashanth and a lot of miles with Rakesh. Did about 65,000 odd kilometers on a Street Bob. I've done 65,000 odd on a Street Bob. At a point in time, I thought Street Bob cannot do everything, so I need another motorcycle, which is not very expensive. So I picked up the Himalayan, and I've done a lot of kilometers on that as well. I think around 28,000 odd kilometers on that. And then my brother, got on to motorcycling. He bought a very old Royal Enfield. Then he dumped it. I picked it up, repaired it. I've done about, 4,000 or 5,000 kilometers on it. Taken it for short distances, like to Krishnagiri. And I have a dream to ride with Prashanth. He's going to be on his breakout, and I'm going to be on my 1970s Royal Enfield. I'm planning to do from Bangalore to Mumbai, maybe in 10 days.
Oh no.
I don't
Prashanth is
think
not
that's
that
a.
patient.
I don't think that's a dream Prashanth is looking forward to.
Yeah.
So,
It'll be a nightmare, not a
the
dream.
second chapter of my motorcycling journey. So the second chapter has also been a lakh now. I mean, a lakh and 4,000. So total about 2 lakhs and 4,000 kilometers on my motorcycle.
That's a huge number. But I don't think Prashanth would, go with you, Ladakh, because I have seen him lead. And during the Goa trip, 4:30 means 4:30 we have to leave. And he'll just zip past. And he'll say, 3 baje pahunchne ka hai. And then all of us would be like behind him. He won't let you eat. He won't let you smoke. And we'll be like riding behind him. But that was a good experience. He likes to go quick.
That's been my motorcycling journey.
Prashanth, yours?
Mine has. I got my first motorcycle in '95 when I joined engineering. That was my Splendor, Hero Honda Splendor.
Oh.
All throughout my college days, I never liked fast bikes. I always wanted cruisers. Where always had that eye for the Harley. In those days, maybe because of Terminator or whatever, but always had the eye for the Harley because you want to enjoy the nature, ride at a pace where you can look around. You're not too tense. You just want to ride. So in that bike, I have gone to Bangalore. I have done the coast all the way till Karwar and come back to Bangalore and stuff like that. I would have done about 50,000 maybe on the bike. And trust me, most of it in Bangalore. Any point in time, anybody calls anywhere in 95, 96, I used to just take the bike and go. So I used to clock about 50 kilometers per day, almost, literally on the bike. Because 1 liter of petrol will give you 60 kilometers. Right? 60, 65 kilometers. So
And petrol was cheap at that time, although
100 rupees, 5.4 liters.
Yeah.
Right? So it was pretty cheap. Then the next bike that I bought was in 2006. I sold that bike off. I bought it in 2006. I wanted a cruiser, so when Bullet launched, Royal Enfield launched Thunderbird, I went and picked it up. It was in 2006. I still have it. And I think in 2015, my wife quit Accenture. And she always knew that I was a big fan of Harley and, this is something that I always wanted. But never had if I can say, the balls to buy the bike. So my wife quit Accenture and she got a lot of money and she said, okay, let's go buy a Harley. We landed in Tusker. And trust me, believe it or not, I read a lot of blogs on
Team BHP.
Yeah. And
blog.
Rakesh's blog, right? So read enough of street, different bikes and all that stuff. And one thing I remembered is that stuck in my head is that, the when you buy a bike, the bug of upgrading immediately kicks in once you buy it.
Yeah.
So I was very conscious of that. I said I don't want to spend again money on buying another bike. So at that same year they launched Breakout. So we went. I initially booked. I don't remember.
You booked a street ball.
No, I booked a fat ball.
Fat ball.
Fat ball. I booked a fat ball. Then I went back again, looked at this Breakout, and I said, okay, Breakout looks good, and we booked it. And I found out from Tusker that not many bookings were there. Not sure why everybody wanted to buy a fat ball. I said, okay, let me be different, and bought a Breakout. And 2015, around the same time, I think April end is when I got the bike. I still remember I got it from Indranagar showroom, and it poured. And believe it or not, this is the first time I'm riding a Harley. 350 kilos or 340, 320 kilos or whatever the bike is. I was struggling to keep the bike straight on the road. And it's raining, and in Bangalore traffic from Indranagar to Jayanagar to BTM, it was horrendous. That was on a Friday. Sunday morning, I met up with Rakesh. I met up with the gang in LLB in, I think, somewhere near Tumkur, some hills we went.
Yeah.
DD Hills.
DD Hills, yeah.
DD Hills, yeah.
So, one year I just rode every Sunday ride without missing. For that 1 year, continuously we rode every Sunday. I met Raghu a couple of years back, and we did our first indoor ride after that, which was long distance. And then we've been riding long distance from here to jail and so on. I think that has been my journey from Splendor to Bullet and now to Harley. That's been my journey of riding. And I've done, 58,000 I think on my Breakout as it stands today.
So that's a lot of kilometers for both of us. I think I have done half of what one of you guys have done. So,
But
yeah, so I hope that I'll reach that mark soon. So, Raghu and Prashanth, you both have great bikes with you. If you had the plan of, buying another bike or buying something, adding to your garage, what would be your next bike? And also to add to that question, if you have given the option that money is not a restriction, what would your garage goals? What are the bikes that you're going to put in your garage?
Well, I don't intend to buy another bike, at least. But
I've heard that from a lot of bikers, by the way.
So Raghu, you said that when you bought the Street Bob also. Okay.
Yeah, so I just needed the Himalayan to.
Yeah, it always starts like that.
And think about it, right? Himalayan clutch plate, clutch wire costs about $200, right? Think about how much you have to spend for, I don't know how much, $15,000 for a Harley. So I just bought the Himalayan to
spend less money.
Or, I ended up spending a lot of money on that as well, but kept aside. I don't know if I want to buy another bike, but if I had the money and if I ever want to buy another one.
And your wife allowed it?
Huh?
So we are also assuming your wife will allow you to get another bike.
She's not listening to the conversation, obviously. But, one thing that I'm very conscious of is the weight of the bike. I want to really pick up something that's light and very nimble. At the same time, it's pretty quick in by my standards. So I don't know. I mean, if I ever buy something, it has to be a sub 200 kg bike, which will take me places, which can help me cruise. Let me do a little bit of off-roading. I'm not a mountain climber by any means. So something that is light and good on my body. I'm not getting any younger. So it has to, Harley is about 320 with all the luggage that we carry. It gets insanely heavy.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I'm conscious of. I have not seen a bike which is sub 200 and does well, except for the KTM 390. I don't know. There's one bike that I always love to own, which is Africa Twin. But it's obviously a much heavier bike than the limit that I've set for myself. I'm very, very particular about the weight of the bike that I intend to buy in the future. 200 kg is going to be the upper limit with luggage, so which means the bike has to weigh around 170, 175 kgs. Hopefully, somebody manufactures a magical bike using carbon fiber, which is not very fast. Still makes my points.
Yeah, for 200 kgs more, probably you can get a KTM 790.
Yeah, hopefully 210, right?
Yeah, 790 ADV comes to that figure. Otherwise, if you're looking at Africa Twin, so Africa Twin, I have sat on it recently, the latest one, and I realized it's not at all top heavy. So you can actually swing the bike sideways, and you don't feel that threat of something pulling under you, which happens on a Versus or some of the other bikes. So Africa Twin, I think, is a superbly sorted bike. I can tell you, especially the new one.
It's also about, I think buying the bike is just one part of the story, right?
Yeah.
Managing the bike, I mean, when I say managing the bike, it's not about the riding, but it's about maintaining the bike.
And living with it.
I've figured out that American bikes and European bikes are way too expensive to maintain.
Yeah.
Japanese bikes, I mean, the Eastern bikes are pretty decent in that sense. So that's another parameter that I would have. It should be light and maybe not too expensive to maintain.
So, Prashanth, what would be your next bike would be?
I mean, I'm really happy with the Harley that I have. I don't think I'll ever sell that motorcycle. If I had the money and money was never a limit, maybe I'd have bought, one brand of every bike that is available in the market.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But I mean, I agree to Raghu that we're not getting younger. I think one of the things that he keeps telling me is that if you have a fall, you should be able to lift your bike on your own. Right? I mean, that's one of the conditions that he keeps saying. I think I would wait for a Himalayan, maybe 650 with the dual cylinder, kind of a bike where it is cheap to maintain and you can throw it around. And worst case scenario, you can still buy another bike if anything gets.
Yeah, he's a sucker for Ducati. He loves the Multistrada.
I love the look of Multistrada.
Multistrada is one on my list as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure if I'll ever buy a Multistrada. But I think, 650 Himalayan.
That'll be awesome. Yeah. Absolutely.
Just wait for a dual cylinder.
Question again to both of you. What the first thing that you guys do when you buy a bike? Like, is there a standard set of accessories that you put on the bike or a standard set of things that you go through when you buy a bike?
Well, I've always gone to Bikenbiker to bought a bike. I remember, I think after I bought my Street, I saw Arjun's Facebook post with his auxiliary lights. And I still remember going to the store in Sarjapur Road, right?
Yeah.
I still have, I bought few stuff from Bikenbiker way back. I still have those things with me. But obviously with time, my first chapter, like I said, I never bought anything, right? It was a raw Royal Enfield. I never even had safety gear. I don't even remember. I rode from Bangalore to Ladakh and back. I don't even remember I had a studs helmet. But safety is important. I realized it over time. Now with owning these motorcycles, doing these extended miles, I've kind of categorized in my mind, how I buy my accessories, right? So I have these, these categories are simply put, for example, I have safety as one category, I have comfort as another category, and I set these categories in my mind, and then I decide to give importance to a certain category, and then go ahead buying accessories based on those categories. I mean, one of the most important categories, always priority zero, is safety. Lighting happens to be the most important accessory that I go after, because the trick with motorcycling is it's not just about you able to see something. People on the road should be able to see you as well, right? a very important mantra. And me and Prashanth, sometimes we start, I don't, in every ride of ours, we work like clockwork, right? Rakesh has suffered with us to a great extent. So we are like 3:30 a.m. start, and we do 1,000 kilometers, 1,100 kilometers in a day. We end the day at 8 in the evening, so we do a lot of rides in, before the sun rises or after the sun sets.
Yeah.
So we give a lot of importance to, between the both of us, we've given a lot of importance to safety, right? Lighting, so that people can see us. We complement some of our accessories in a way that, because we have a riding formation between the two of us, so it's always nice to have another fellow rider, and we kind of complement our accessories in a way that it adds to the safety quotient of our riding. Because end of the day, there are people waiting for us at home, right? It's important that we get back home in one piece.
Yeah.
So, for example, Prashanth recently invested, not recently, the near past, he invested in Baha lights that he got from Bikenbiker. So I always ride behind Prashanth, right? And I don't even have to use my Cyclops. Baha does the job. Just to give you an example. So
Yeah.
safety is the most important factor, at least for me, and to a great extent for Prashanth as well. And then we put comfort next, and then aesthetics. And the list is endless. Even today, I was talking to somebody in the Street Pop group, and I was asking him, "Where did you buy that rotor for your bike?" Right? He told me it's from Arlen Nest, so I saved that link, and maybe at a point in time, I will upgrade my rotors to an Arlen Nest. So there's no end to buying accessories for your bike motorcycle, but my mind, safety comes first, and then comfort, and then aesthetics.
Again, Prashanth, your bike?
I agree to what Raghu just said. Safety is definitely a must. And I think I'll add something in between safety and the lights is Senna.
Oh yeah,
Senna
the life
is
game changer.
when you do 1,000 odd kilometers a day, and with fewer stops that generally we both have, the only way to keep us engaged and keep us awake is Senna. I think without Senna, and if people want to do a long ride, I wouldn't recommend. And I generally never would like to ride alone because I keep telling him that I hate riding alone. I tell him also not to ride alone. It's just because of the safety aspect, right? I mean, you always have one eye, and we are never too far away. We are always connected on Senna. I can either see him on the rearview mirror or I can see him in front of me. It's never beyond the visible distance. Used to hate Rakesh for running off during our rides, and I have to tell him, I said, I need to have your visible distance to be maintained. I mean, these are all few things that makes you comfortable when you're riding, especially with long durations. One blink of an eye, you miss your judgment or whatever, you could just go off the road and nobody would notice you, right? I mean, if it's in the hills, you just go off the road. I mean, you don't even know, right? So safety is definitely important. Second is lights. I cannot ride night without the Baha lights. The Baha lights is like a daytime when I just switch them on. It's just brilliant. I can do ease at 120 at night, if not even faster, but I generally don't go faster than that. But 120 is a breeze with that lights. If I switch off the Baha, I will have to come down to 70 or 80 for my comfort level. Baha is, there might be other lights which is great, but this has worked really good for me. The other thing that I would look at, which I'm not really keen on, is like maybe power tuner, new exhaust system or full exhaust system and stuff like that. But the bug hasn't still bit me to keep on upgrading my bike. I think the lights were the last. I think it was all about maybe 4 years back that I upgraded with tuner and full system and maybe lights about 2 years back. I think. After that, I've not done any upgrades on my bike. It's been the same. I don't have that urge to make it better. I'm comfortable. I like the bike. I like the look of it. I think I've reached a stage where I love the way the bike looks and the way the bike behaves. And at least I don't have too much of an urge to do any more upgrades. But definitely safety, Senna, if you're doing long rides, lights if you're doing quite a bit of night rides. I think those three are definitely a must.
I think
Yeah,
lights is a really important one because we get a lot of people, when we ask them what kind of riding do you do, they say we don't ride much at night. But what they miss out is the early morning because a lot of people don't count that as night. But most guys who are riding long start at maybe 3:30, 4:30, which is still going to give you at least 2.5, 3 hours of absolute darkness before you start seeing dawn.
yeah,
And even that dawn period, that's a super dangerous period because your eyes are not fully tuned to the light coming up, and your lighting, if it's not good enough, you're not sure whether you're able to see. So that's a very tricky part. So we get a lot of people who keep telling us, I don't ride much at night. But then you ask them what time you're leaving the house in the morning, they'll be like, I leave at 4 o'clock. So how do you manage riding those couple of hours, right? So yeah, lighting
yeah.
is huge.
What are the add-ons that we have in our bike? Which companies have the very powerful LEDs?
That's custom dynamics.
So another thing that we have done on both our motorcycles is we've got these custom dynamics plugins.
Right.
Prashanth has got those tail lights. He gave me the front
The DRLs.
turn
Yeah.
signals come. It's Harley has got this complicated system, so turn signals and it lights forever, running lights. What these little lights help you do is they help you. For example, when we have done some crazy rides at crazy times, right? And I remember a lot of times I used to just follow him thanks to the custom dynamics lights. Like very, it used to suck. It sucks very little power from your motorcycle, but it's so bright, right? Even if he's like, I don't know, 600, 700 meters ahead of me, I just look at those lights and just follow him. So, lights play a major role, right? One, it gives you the visibility, and second, it helps you trace people, right? And I remember Rakesh had all those magical lights on his panniers, on his top box. So, it reminds me of an episode where we were going to Indore, and
Yeah.
we crossed Adilabad, and it started pouring. And we were on our Harleys, 100 ground clearance, and Rakesh was riding his Versus, and he had all these fancy lights on his tapas, and so we literally followed him. Right, the road from Adilabad to Nagpur was treacherous,
Terrible. Yeah.
atrocious to say the least at that point in time. And Breakout has got a 240 rear tire, and if it goes down, right, it commits itself so much that it can't come out.
Yeah.
It's impossible for a Breakout tire to come out if it commits itself to a particular spot. We were just following him, and that kind of tells you that it's not just about what you see; it's also about what you follow, right? So lights are really important in these two dimensions.
In fact, that trip was interesting in two ways. One was, of course, what you're mentioning is that we could coordinate very well somehow. And I was showing off because I had a versus and you guys were struggling with the Harley. So I said, okay, I'm going through the pothole. You guys come from the sides, all that we were doing. But I did realize that those are times when you realize that a versatile bike, like you said, a light bike which can take so much of beating, is much more useful in Indian conditions. Harleys do struggle in certain spots. Second thing which I really liked, you remember we started from Nagpur, we crossed Betul, and then we were entering into Indore area, and we were lost, and we had to sit down.
The Mofa.
Huh?
After you rode that Mofa.
Yeah. And then we sat down with some sabzi walas to find out the road, and we had chai party over there. That is a time when it was pouring.
Yeah.
And the Sena survived that rain. I'm really surprised. It bloody survived. We could talk to each other. Secondly, the lights made, like Prashanth had a very strong backlight. That straight strip, you remember, Prashanth, he had fixed it on the bike. And then he also, so we could see Prashanth. Prashanth was saying, okay, here I'm turning. And, we are like on 20 kilometers per hour speed. And I was the last. Raghu used to be in the middle. And three of us rode that treacherous ride. And I still have a photograph, and I hope I can put it somewhere in the editing. I'm holding my shoe upside down, and water was inside. That was super, but we never compromise on safety. And I agree with you that it's so important.
So
And
that was
Prashant
a
has,
very interesting combination, right?
yeah,
So you had a tall bike, which was very silent.
yeah,
Prashant didn't get his exhaust. I think by that time he had a stock exhaust, but had got wonderful lights. And I
yeah.
had a very loud exhaust. So I used to throw it off to, take the shit out of those dogs on the road. So, pretty good combo, right? Yeah.
It was a superb trip. I always remember that trip.
So, Raghu and Prashant, what do you guys do to maintain your bikes? Do you guys work on your bike on your own?
Harley, no. I mean,
You can't do much on that, dude.
well, I don't have
Maybe on the Royal Enfield.
I don't have metric tools, so I can't really do anything on that on a Harley. Uh, Himalayan, I have done few things. I don't mind doing it because I know even if it conks off, it's not very expensive to
Replace, yeah.
or change anything. Uh, the third bike that I have, I tend to do a lot. Like, it's my experimentation zone. I really run short of time, but if I ever have time to do things, I would really want to open it up and put it back again. But I still do the basics like open up the carburetor, clean it up, and all that stuff. But Harley, no, strict no. I don't touch it.
Yeah, same here. I don't think I do anything on the Harley. Just make sure that it's on the tender when it's not on use. But yeah, I mean, the question is the time, right? It requires a lot of time to, if you ever do something, it requires time, it requires tools. But eventually, both of us have this plan to have all the toolkit that's required for a Harley to maintain it. And then maybe, at one point in time, I'm really looking at upgrading it to a stage 4 by doing it by ourselves. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but that's the dream that I have. But otherwise, yeah, the maintenance is very simple. On tender, oil gently on top up. Make sure that it runs once in a while. We ride, at least once a month. Preferably more often, but during the lockdown, yeah, we haven't driven at all. Yeah, those are the small little things that we do. But other than that, nothing much.
Harley doesn't need a lot of maintenance.
Yeah.
So in fact, that's one thing I tell a lot of these Harley beaters that, one thing about the Harley, it may be, it may be a rattly bike. It may, really vibrate every time you ride, or, they even talk about how it breaks down and stuff. But my experience with Harleys has also been this, which is you start the bike, ride 8,000 kilometers, give it for service. You start the bike, ride 8,000 kilometers, give it for service, and just
Just
repeat.
works.
Whether you wash it or not, the bike doesn't care. There is no chain maintenance because it's belt driven. So there's nothing between that, right? So it's just service. As long as you maintain your service intervals, the bike will take care of you. And
I've done
that's
what?
pretty much it.
75,000 odd kilometers on a Harley. I had one breakdown, and that was because our friends who were supposed to maintain it properly didn't maintain it. They were supposed to change the bearing when it was supposed to be changed. They didn't change it. It was a bearing fault that kind of caused a chaos. But otherwise, I mean, I remember I have, during the indoor ride, I had no brakes because the water had clogged into the brake pads. I was able to ride. I rode from Mumbai till Kolhapur with a clutch slip. I did about 85 kilometers an hour from Mumbai to Kolhapur. It was about 450 to 500 kilometers. I was able to ride. So, never had a problem. It's a nice bike as long as you do basic maintenance. And that's what I like about the bike. I mean, I hate electronics. I'm not an electronics person. I think I grew up in an era where I think ABS was the individual who's riding the bike. The rider is the ABS. So I'm happy with just ABS as an intervention. My Himalayan doesn't even have an ABS. So I've done 30,000 kilometers on a bike without ABS. Harley is just the ABS, and they're happy with what you've got. I mean, all these gadgetry, you press a button, you get, end of the day, I think we don't have trained professionals to handle such motorcycles. And it becomes really complicated when something goes wrong. But with the Harley, I think you can go to hopefully a future bike and biker maintenance store and get it done. Right?
No, I agree with you. In fact, the Street 750 we were riding, Arjun and I both. And we rode that without a problem, without a breakdown, nothing went wrong. And Street 750 is not a very sophisticated bike. It's got Bajaj 160 Vibre, calipers, and the shock absorbers are from again Bajaj. Despite all that, we went through, and today it's about what? It's in fifth year. My bike is in about 5 years old. It's in Pune with a guy running perfectly. There's no problem with the bike. It's 70,000 almost now. The guy is belting it all over the place. So I against the belief, Arif, especially for you to listen, Harleys are actually trouble-free if you just service it on time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, our Delhi ride or change ride, I mean, we do 1,000 kilometers, sleep for about 6-7 hours, get up and again I do 1,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
It runs. You want it to run 2,000 kilometers, it'll run.
It'll run.
I think it'll never stop. I think it's basic maintenance.
We have done some pretty, insane rides. If you think, if you look back in time, I mean, me and Prashanth were riding to Chail, and somebody told us you can go to Chandigarh via Udaipur, and we did that. And we got stuck in Udaipur forever, and we reached Chandigarh early in the morning, and Udaipur to Ajmer. From Chandigarh to Ajmer, it was, from Udaipur to Ajmer, it was like no man's land. We couldn't even see what was happening around us. And so just our bikes, super cold, we're just hoping that the bike will take us to our destination, right? I mean, even if we always have the comfort of RSA behind us, but still, RSA means you have to stay back on the road forever. The bikes, the point is, this bike has been with us for, if you have to cumulatively add most of the miles we've done together, about 1 lakh kilometers.
Yeah.
It's never given us any problem, touch wood. Hopefully it would never give us any problem in the future. Even if it does, we've got a lot of loving miles together. So I don't think we are ever going to get into the bike. A very low maintenance story, as long as you take care of the bike.
So they're a happy lot. They don't want many bikes. I mean, even if money rains out of the roof, they will stay with their bikes. That's the story I hear.
I at least have a buck for accessories, even if it doesn't have them.
So I can tell you that Prashanth's exhaust system, I think it was state-of-the-art setup. We got the Arlen-ness filter, and it was a beautiful setup. I think the oxygen sensor, we are yet to crack that issue, right? And in fact, I have, amongst all my consulting folks whom I know, they have not been able to crack this issue. That's why I never got back. But he bought Power Vision and the Danajet, all that combo, beautiful setup. I think you spent a huge amount of money. We got him that stuff. He was very angry because we were late to procure that whole thing. It took a lot of time. We were doing it through a distributor, and then we got it and we fixed it. And that it was our ultimate joy to see that bike the way it. I think it made a lot of difference, Prashanth.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. What I wanted to do was something different. Everybody puts VNH.
Yeah.
I didn't want to put VNH. I was very clear. I didn't want VNH at all. So I did a lot of research and I got Arlen-ness. It's a beautiful system. The open exhaust the intake that it's got, and the exhaust mode. It doesn't make so much noise when you're at low RPM, but once you open up the throttle, it just explodes.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful. You don't have to worry about the top saying that, that one point in time they're saying, noise pollution, they'll catch you and stuff. I should never bother, because if I keep the RPM at a certain level at each gear, it's a mellow, nice beat which just goes. But after that, you open it up, it just makes that explosive noise. It's beautiful. I love Arlen-ness. I think that's the best investment that I've done for the bike.
So there is one thing I learned with Prashanth was that he will do his research and come to you and ask you some very pointed questions, testing your intelligence also. So he's a difficult customer to handle. So you need to be very clear what you're saying to him, because if you say something and if he understands it, he will hold you on to it. So no faffing, no bullshitting, no salesy job. So he'll do his research and come. So if let's say he says, I want to fix something on my bike and this is what I need, to move him away from that and ask him to buy something else is a huge task.
Ask Rakesh, he knows it.
Yeah. So that's why I have learnt with him, but he will come well researched. And I think his research showed in the kind of exhaust and system he bought. That was a beautiful system.
I'll give you an
The only
example.
thing I convinced him was that instead of going for any other light, buy the XL80 Baha. It's an expensive light and they are big. And if he switches them on, that's why Raghu doesn't use the lights behind him, because it bloody just lights up the road. It's one of the best lights you can have on such a big bike. Sorry, you were saying something.
No, I was just saying, Rakesh, to the previous point, I asked for an Arlen S. It's got multiple
Yeah.
intake, right? The air filter. I'd asked for a black and silver. So he got me a silver and he was trying to sell it to me, saying that, okay, silver looks great, you should put it. It was. I know what looks good on my car. I know what I ordered.
Oh yeah,
What
I got stuck in that. So it so happened that by mistake the guy imported the completely silver one, and his is a chrome bike. So I said, okay, the theory is that if you have dominant chrome structure, then you can put this chrome in it, and that's the only logic I was giving him. He said, no, there are traces of black in the middle, and this is how it matches with it. So I kept quiet as I'll get your replacement. No problem. Yeah, so he's an informed customer. It's been a joy working with him.
So, Raghu and Prashanth, what are your plans post lockdown? Are you guys planning any ride or something?
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
escape.
All of us are itching.
You want to do a ride?
I mean, I think, once if Karnataka sees slightly gets better and its hotels are opened up, then maybe, Belgaum, Marriott and come back just for the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely missing the rides. I mean, that's something that we are yet to start. Definitely, yeah, we should ride.
Yeah, we should. I mean, we typically do about a circle of the country every year. We've been doing it religiously since 2015. So there's a reason to own these bikes, right? If you don't ride these bikes, then it makes no sense to keep it in your garage. You'd rather just, if you get a penny for these bikes, you better sell it off. Right?
Yeah.
Not just occupy space, but it's even without riding, it's a lot of maintenance. So we do about 6,000, 7,000 kilometers ride around the country every year.
Target is 10,000 per year is what we have kept. 10,000 every year is what we want to clock on these bikes.
Yeah, around the country in one ride, right? We go around, typically we're not one of those hoggy guys. We don't care about, as Rakesh pleasantly says, band walon ka quote.
Yeah.
So we just do it on our own.
Yeah, I don't think
Nice
you
way
guys have
to
been.
keep yourself busy and keep the bike busy as well. So obviously, once this whole thing settles on, hopefully this year, we're going to go do our classical western to the northern part of the country and come back.
Yeah.
That's our favorite ride.
So, adding to that point,
Belgaum, Pune, Mumbai, Jaipur, Delhi, and then come back. I mean, a lot of our wives think that's foolish to do that, but my brother says, why don't you just do Bangalore, Tumkur, nice roads 50 times? You still have but,
I think you guys like seeing places also. You guys like seeing places. I think only time we missed you this year was IBW. Not this year, sorry, the last year. In November. November IBW, we really missed you. Both of you.
Sorry, it was December.
Beginning December.
Sorry, December first week. 8th, no? 7th, 8th we did.
6th,
So
7th was the...
Every year, both of you have been with us in IBW. We've had families together, had a good time. This year we missed you both.
I think typically because of our professional commitments, we usually earmark about 10 days for motorcycling, apart from weekend rides once in a while. I think this year's IBW was away from IHR calendar. Not that we really care about IHR, but it so happens that when you say Goa, it's imprinted in our mind that it's February.
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
became November. It's just that we didn't plan for it.
yeah, yeah.
And usually our October, November calendar is usually around the country and come back. Right? You won't believe, but after the Calcutta ride, we haven't even explored the eastern part of the country. We've not done that. It's somehow we're so comfortable with the western part. You ask me where the pothole is after Pune, we'll probably tell you. But it's just a comfort. I don't know why we keep
Yeah, I
repeating.
think
But it's not.
East is, we have
Bikes
not,
are much fun.
we have not explored East. I think we should go to East sometime.
So, you guys have a lot of kilometers under your belt. Do you have one particular ride that you will cherish forever? Or one memorable ride?
We were planning to do a ride towards Thailand or
Memorable, right?
Something
oh,
you've already done
Something we've already
okay.
done. Something that is.
that stands out. There's that one ride that you'd be like, this was so much
The
fun.
ride to Chell was. I mean, we underestimated that ride. So basically, Rakesh was supposed to be with us.
Yeah, last minute
And he
I
gave
did.
this heart. Of course, this is there's something about business, and he couldn't make it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was just the two of us, and we didn't really know what we were getting into. Of course, we had ridden till Delhi before, so Chal was crazy. I just don't know why somebody even organized a get together, no man's land. But Chal was an interesting journey. Just the two of us, and we were the first ones to reach that place because a lot of Harley riders, Big Tone, all that band baja and all that stuff, they like to party quite a bit. So it was a party in Chandigarh, I guess. Chandigarh, right?
Chandigarh, yeah.
We decided to, say screw it to everything, and we went directly to Chail, and I think, there was a guy from Coimbatore, and then we were the second and the third bike to get to Chail. It was one hell of a ride. But every ride has something interesting, right? Every long ride, there is a story behind it. A bunch of stories from our indoor ride, a bunch of stories from our Calcutta ride. I don't know, we've done so many rides, God forbidden land. It kind of, even we did this ride to Run of Kutch. It was gorgeous. Chair still stands out because of the remoteness of that place and 70 kilometers on hill roads. Definitely not meant for Harleys, and there were like 600 Harleys there for the hog rally. And we started climbing the hills. I think we reached the end of the best part of Himalayan Highway at around 6 in the evening. And from there, I think Chail was about 70 odd kilometers, 3 hours in pitch dark roads. And I don't think Prashanth had the Baha lights on. I had those Chinese lights. That was another reason why we figured out lights were so important, right?
I think that's after that ride was when you came in and said, I want kick-ass lights on the bike.
Baha after that. Yeah. It was crazy. I mean, the after you go past the Himalayan highway, there's a road that goes towards Shimla. There's another road that goes towards Chair. The Shimla road is still pretty decent because it's a much bigger city. But Chair road was crazy. We didn't even know where we were going. We didn't know where was the pothole, and we were the only two bikes on the road.
I mean, imagine it's like pitch dark.
Pitch dark.
Your periphery vision is just dark, right? There is nothing coming on your way, and there is no marking on the road. I mean, it was really, really difficult, right? We didn't know where the turn was because we had to wait, slow down, figure out turn, and then at least if you had some truck or something going in front of you, the kind of the road that you're navigating. But here it was pitch dark. I mean, yeah, let you continue.
That was crazy. I mean, and we reached a point where we couldn't even figure out where our hotel was because there was no one on the road. The GPS stopped working. I think we were doing tukas, right? Okay, let's take a left, let's take a right, let's take the second left. And we said we will split. And just the bike exhaust note was there to know that we were close to each other. It was crazy. I mean, Some would say, why did you even explore it at night? But we wanted one peaceful night without thinking about getting up at 3 in the morning the next day. So we decided to say, okay, to hell with that party. We went directly to Chair. We had a nice sleep. Next day morning, we got up at 11 o'clock. Didn't find out anything interesting in that city. Stayed there for a day and did the same thing 2 days later. Rode about 2,800 kilometers back home.
Yeah. I agree. I think the trail was very memorable. Of course, the indoor also was memorable. We had initially, when we had planned, we said we'll stop at Vapi. The first stop is after Bombay. We reached Bombay at about 8 o'clock in the evening, and the traffic was atrocious. I was telling Raghu, let's figure out a hotel, let's crash. I don't think I want to ride any further. I think crossing Bombay any time other than early morning or late night, it's just terrible. Right? I mean, 70 kilometers, I think will take you 3-4 hours to ride.
Yeah.
So, and the worst part is wedding season, we had not booked advanced hotels. We had to pay like 30,000 or something like that for the hotel that we had occupied. Just for that one night. Not even one night. I mean, it's like what, 9 in the night to 4 in the morning maybe. Right? And then the plan was to go from Bombay to Jaipur. That was about 1,200 kilometers. We got stuck in Jaipur. 3 hours, trust me, on traffic jam. The truckers were helpful to give us space and all that stuff to let us pass. And at one point in time, somewhere closing down to Ajmer, again, like I said, the periphery vision was completely dark. Completely dark. We didn't see, other than the two of us, for almost about 60-70 kilometers, we didn't see a truck passing by. We couldn't see a light on periphery vision. It was pitch dark, cold. We were shivering. And we called up, one of our friends and said, can you please book a hotel in Ajmer? We reached Ajmer at about 12:30, crashed, 8, whatever.
And no good parking for the bike. We had to leave the bike on the road.
Left the bike on the road, ate something, and crashed. And I told Raghu, morning, let's get up early, head out to Chel. And, I get up in the morning and I see this guy is still sleeping. I was like, Raghu, what are you doing? You're still sleeping. You're supposed to be riding. He said, no, you can't do Chel one day. You have to stay in Chandigarh and then only you have to go to Chel. I said, no, I need 1 day of break where I don't have to get up in the morning, get up next day and say, we have to ride. I said, I wanted that 1 day break. I said, we're going to ride. So from all the way to Ajmer to Chel, I think it was about 900, 800?
600. 600, but very treacherous
600.
beyond Chandigarh.
Chandigarh, the Himalayan Expressway, we reached at 6 o'clock in the evening or 6:30 in the evening. And then it took us about 3.5 hours to cross that 80 kilometers or something like that. My God. I mean, that was a ride to remember. I think the other ride to remember is between Nagpur and Indore.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
We were just following.
Pouring was not the word. And we stopped at a small little hut where there were people gathered around. We were dripping. I mean, every undergarment or anything that you were wearing was completely.
Very nice picture. It's like a good remembrance.
And we asked for chai, and trust me, this guy starts the chula with the old smith. I mean, the iron smiths that they used to turn up the coal, and he puts that. I mean, it was an experience. I mean, you wouldn't stop at a place like this any other way if you're not having a bike, right? And we had poha and a piece of paper, and it tasted amazing. Yeah. We were hungry. Right, I mean, those are all the experiences that I can never forget. I mean, it's brilliant, once in a lifetime maybe. But I think you really explore the country using the two wheels.
Last year in March, 2019 March, I decided to. So I went to Mumbai alone, and I decided to go to Nagpur from Mumbai. So I said, well, Nagpur to Mumbai is about 1,600 odd kilometers, 1,500 odd kilometers. So, dekhte hain kya hota hai. So I started from Mumbai, afternoon. And I said I will stay at a place called as Jalgaon, which is somewhere between Mumbai and Nagpur. I think it was, forgot the name of the place. Till a point, the roads are fantastic. I had great visibility, 4-lane roads. Then at a point in time, I had to take a right, and then things changed, right? Single lane roads. I mean, atrocious roads, right? Definitely not tailor-made for Harley Davidson. They were just trucks, and I was calling Prashanth en route to Jalgaon. I said, you know what? Today I saw like 3 accidents. People, trucks were knocking down motorcyclists, and truckers were just getting down from their truck, taking the body and just putting it on the side of the road, and then moving ahead. It was crazy. I was like, oh my god, nobody's even bothered about human life, right, in Maharashtra. It was crazy. And then next day morning, I start from Jalgaon to Nagpur till Amravati. I think 260 kilometers. I have not done worse roads than that in my life, right? My back would have broken on a great motorcycle. And imagine on a street bob doing about 260 kilometers at about 30-35 kilometers an hour. Right? I reach Amravati. I just got into a hotel. I wasn't hungry at all. I just got into a hotel because it had AC. Stayed there for an hour, and then Amravati to Nagpur, of course, was a breeze 4-lane highway. So that's another solo ride on a Harley that I can. It was madness. I would never do that again. It was Mumbai, Nashik, Dhule, I think. Dhule. And Dhule, Jalgaon, Amravati, Nagpur. I don't recommend that route to anyone. It was like bloody crazy. And it was alone. Crazy ride. Time. I think I reached Jalgaon at 11 in the night. I started at 4 in the morning. But
Thank you for sharing great experiences.
Let me go. I mean, it was all fine. The bike did well. Not even a single puncture.
Yeah, it goes through somehow. Harleys have lived up to their name that way.
Oh yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
I think with us, touch wood, we have not had a problem. I mean, we have done some crazy times at crazy places. Amazing experience. With Rakesh, yeah, it was raining like cats and dogs.
Yeah. I was.
Finally at some crappy hotel in Kolhapur. After we checked him, he just opened the old mouth. He didn't even remove the jacket.
Oh yeah, and I think we slept very, very soundly, and I remember sleeping off. Next thing I know, Prashanth is staring at me in the morning, and he's like, "Get up, let's go back home. 600 km more to go."
Indore Kolhapur, that state highway.
Yeah, state highway.
Yeah, and that hotel was infested with cockroaches and all kinds of things. And somehow we managed. But that was a memorable trip for me also. Absolutely.
It's very difficult to call out a trip as a great trip because every trip is an experience. Of course, there is always a stack ranking that you do. But every trip you learn something.
Even the last trip that we did to Delhi, we
With
started
Shreyas, right?
with Shreyas. We did the ride. We started sometime in October. It rained throughout the journey.
I got some amazing
Throughout
pictures.
the journey. We were all through, and trust me, when you park the bike at a reporter's place that you want to have a cup of coffee or chai, nobody even cared about the bike. It was so much
So dirty.
that you couldn't even believe that somebody could even ride that shitty bike. Right? That's bad. And
Shreyas had a windshield. He had to leave it in Kolhapur showroom and ask them to ship it to him. He couldn't ride with the windshield.
Yeah, you get all kinds of crap on it and keep cleaning it.
So thank you for sharing such great experiences. I believe you guys have been a part of Bikenbiker, relationship with Bikenbiker for a very long time. But can you tell us, guys, when was the first time did you ever hear of Bikenbiker? And how your experience has been with us?
I'll go for it because I have a story. So I knew Arjun and Rakesh had started a thing, but lack of memory is something that I don't, it just doesn't recollect, right? The name of the company, especially, and something, I was searching for some component or something, and I wrote to Bikenbikers. And then Arjun replies, "Hey, wait, Prashanth, I have it, man, come and take it." I was like, "You guys run this?" I said, "Yeah." It's like, oh man.
Yeah.
I think, for everything, because even from the team BHP have seen Rakesh, and I'm not sure if Arjun's post were there, but definitely Rakesh's post I recollect a lot. So I knew that he was one guy who kind of understood the bike and who knew what he was talking about. So it was always in consultation with Raghu or Rakesh to say that I needed this. So it was never away from these two gentlemen, and when they started the company, it was a natural transition into this company. I mean, even today, if I need anything, I only talk to Rakesh or Arjun or anybody, right? So never been, I would say, never been away.
Yeah,
From these
I
two.
think we were friends first, and then the business started.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, if I think about anything to buy, the first person that comes to mind is these two gentlemen. Right. First is like, can you get me this, whatever I need? Can you get it done? Can we get it fixed? And because we have been friends for such a long time, there's a trust factor that comes in. And of course, uh, now that with so many years of experience that Rakesh and Arjun has, I think their information or opinion really matters a lot. If they say that okay, this is not good, I think we should suggest this or something else. I think it really matters a lot. So I will definitely go back any day back to Rakesh and Arjun for any of my queries or bikes or at one point in time I think we were discussing saying that they want a second-hand bike. He said, yeah, we should talk to June or Rakesh and then figure it out. So yeah, I mean they're a part of intrinsic uh, top of mind recall. Yeah, it's like automatically it's just there. It's not like I have to go anywhere else. Even if I need a helmet, jacket, or whatever, right? So the first thing that comes to mind is these two gentlemen.
I accidentally stumbled upon a post from Arjun in 2014. I think this was his right back from Delhi. Arjun, Rakesh, and Rajana.
Yeah,
that
three of us.
that
Yeah,
that would be 2015, I think.
15. Yeah, 15.
2015, I think October 2015.
Yeah, yeah.
So I saw a post, Arjun like in his classical picture selfie. I obviously didn't notice him. I noticed the auxiliary lights and, and the headlamps. So I reached out to him. I said, "Hey, looks interesting. Where can I buy stuff like this?" Right. So then he said, "I have a store. If you want, you can come over and get it." So I went to first this apartment complex near on Sajapur Road. Then he said, "Follow me. I mean, I have a store." So it was like that snake and ladder journey, right? To my store.
Yeah, to our 10 by 10 store. Yeah.
I mean, you guys have traveled quite a distance from where you were from where you are. It feels good that somebody that we know has reached this distance. I mean, it's not easy, of course. I've experienced that first store. Right? I reached there. I think Anup was sitting there doing some stock taking, and Arjun gave me the headlamp, and he said, "One guy will come. He's a chul guy. I don't know how to fix it, but the chul guy will come and fix it." So, Rakesh, one thing about Rakesh is 6 o'clock, it will be 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
So Rakesh eventually lands, and I think we took about 3 hours to fix that headlamp. I mean, Street has got some weird way of fixing. And this was 2 days before our Calcutta ride or 3 days before our Calcutta ride, I don't remember. So I got that. This was way back in 2015. I got that fixed, and that's where the association started. I still have those bungee ropes from that store. I bought 4 bungee ropes, 2 blue color and 2 black color.
Yeah.
I still have those 4 bungee ropes with me. I was about to show it, but apparently I have put it in my dabba, so it's not there in the bag. But I actually carry that bungee rope wherever I go. It's lived for 5 years, 6 years now. It's quite amazing.
See, Arib, you came in later. So our story is that we started in that 10 by 10 garage, and we had a small set of customers coming in, and we struggled while we were, in our corporate jobs to run that place. So, friends like Prashanth, Raghu, and so many others who have supported us over the years, and we grew purely because of their references, their confidence in us. And I'm happy that Prashant says that, Rakesh, you can talk to and take some opinion, because he's well researched guy himself. But that's quite a bit of we are thankful to such people, in our lives, who have made us grow. Otherwise, I don't think we would have been here today. It's purely the support of friends and and some families. Second thing, see, you must be very curious that we have been interviewing a lot of famous people, right, so far. And suddenly we are interviewing two of these guys. If you look at the life cycle of a motorcyclist, these guys, all they lack in their life is a YouTube channel, and they have done probably more than some of these most famous guys we met, right? So that is why the lesser mortals people have to know that what is their capability. Two Harleys, and they've gone almost everywhere, and they've struggled, they have done all kinds of things, and the kilometers under the belt. How many of the YouTubers can talk like this, right? So we are very happy that they are our customers, and that's exactly why they are here today talking to us.
Definitely. And it has been great talking to you, Raghu and Prashant. So just the last question before we sign off. If you have any advice to younger riders like me, including, what would be your advice to like all these? Because the kind of experience that you guys have, I'm pretty sure a lot of motorcyclists will never experience those. So if there's one piece of advice or a statement that you want to put it out there.
Ride safe. There are people waiting for you at home. So be safe. Enjoy. Motorcycling is an amazing experience. It teaches a lot. It teaches how to, the whole idea of teamwork, camaraderie. There's a lot of things that, brotherhood is a word that I don't like, but anyway, you can do that if you want. But yeah, it teaches a lot. But the most important factor is be safe. I mean, since you said you ride a very fast bike, a lot of people who ride very fast bikes, it's important that people ride safe and get back home, because a lot of people waiting for you at home. It's extremely important. That's what I would say.
I completely agree. I think if you have a fast bike, you want to ride fast, go on a track. Don't come on the road. Very simple, right? I mean, if you want to ride on a road, I think it's better to maintain your comfort level of speed. I mean, I'm not saying that if you do 160, maybe half an hour you can keep at 160, whatever. Your brain is going to get fatigued, but you need to enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Not just about rushing something. It's one stupid. I mean, there's so many accidents. Somebody hitting a pedestrian or a cyclist or whatever. One mishap is going to cost you so much that you're going to regret for the rest of your life, and your riding most likely will stop after. Right? I think it's better to be always safe than to be sorry. I think that is my motto. I mean, I always, anticipate. I don't think we ever ride fast. I think we are constant 110, 120 guys, no more than that. I mean, we tend to keep it on the lower side. Constant throttle, we just keep chugging along. That's about it. I mean, adrenaline everybody would want. If you want it, if you have a fast bike, go on a racetrack, don't come on the street. That's my advice. And of course, gear is very important. Make sure that you have whatever the best gear money can afford with your limited capacity, whatever it is. Make sure that you buy it and then have the gear.
Yeah, so true. Whatever power you have in your bike, end of the day, you want to do a long trip, 110, 120 works. You can't sustain yourself at 160 for that kind of distance. You'll get tired and, you can't sustain it.
I mean, when you do 15, 16, 18-hour ride,
Yeah,
impossible to do it. I mean, you need a comfortable, easy, just anticipation or whatever it is. And then you ride.
and I think that's what Harley teaches you, especially when you ride a Harley. That's exactly what you learn. Do a steady speed, be comfortable, and beat the distance. Don't beat the speed.
Yeah.
That's it.
Want to beat the speed, go on a track. Seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much. That was a great piece of advice. It's been great talking to you guys. Thank you so much for coming on Biker Stories and sharing your experience with us. I'm hoping everybody who's watching this learns a thing or two, and we hope to see a YouTube channel from you guys soon, since you have such experiences.
That'll never happen.
Yeah.
Maybe an Instagram post or something like that, so that everyone could follow you.
They have the patience to ride at 120. They don't have the patience to video edit. Let's just be clear.
I'd rather ride again.
Sorry?
I said I'd rather ride again.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, both the guys are not even very active on Facebook.
I don't think Prashanth has a Facebook ID at all.
Yeah, I think most of the time we see your wife doing that, and everything comes through her. Your photos also we see through her, and your lovely dogs, especially the husky and the retriever.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys. It's been great talking to you. And I'm pretty sure we'll catch up again, maybe on a ride somewhere.
Yeah,
Sure.
any day.
Yeah.
So much. Yeah.
Sure,
Thank
guys.
you so much,
Okay,
Raghu
okay.
and Prashanth. It's been great having you over.
Bye.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.